Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for coming today. My name is Will. I am one of the co-founders of Birmingham AI and one of the leaders alongside Tarun here of the Engineering Breakout. I see a lot of familiar faces. I see some new faces. Who has never been to a Birmingham AI Engineering Breakout before? Engineering Breakout. Awesome. Nice. That's a lot of hands. Who's never been to a Birmingham AI event before? Is this your first Birmingham AI event too? Awesome. Well, thank you for coming. If you're not an engineer, I'm sorry, but welcome. And I think what we do today will probably still be interesting to you. Today's going to be a little bit different because we're going to be coding amongst the tables here. If you have your laptop, participate with us. If you don't, that's okay. You can follow along with me, where I'm just going to be showing off a number of tools that I've used recently. We'll be discussing things. I'll be getting input from you. And so we're looking forward to it. Today's going to be a fun day. It is the last Birmingham AI Engineering Breakout of 2025. We're going to come back in the new year, but we're going to take December off. We might do something virtual, especially continuing on from the progress we make today. But thanks for coming. And yeah, let me tell you a little bit more about the Engineering Breakout and why we are here. No, third time. So for those of you who didn't raise your hands, you've all seen this slide. We cover it at the beginning of every Engineering Breakout. This is our vision and this is our mission. And this is what drives us forward as volunteers to spend time here. It is what motivates us to have interesting conversations with you all and to make sure that these sessions are valuable for you. Our vision is for Birmingham to have one of the highest per capita concentrations of elite AI engineers in the Southeast. What we mean by elite AI engineers is someone who is using AI to augment their abilities as a software engineer or add AI into their products in their offerings. But we want Birmingham to stand as a model for how cities can transform their software talent in the AI world. A core belief of ours is that technical talent is only going to become more valuable and more important in this next phase of life. That runs counter to something somebody might say on LinkedIn, right? That you might have read that, oh, this is a dying profession, etc. If you envision the world 10 years from today, it's just really hard to think of any outcome that doesn't place even more of a premium on people with technical talent and expertise. That's a core belief of ours. But our job is going to change, and we want to help you as the job changes. And so our mission that will help us get to the vision that we have is to create an elite core of AI engineers in Birmingham through hands-on training and connection. We'll do this by getting the best engineers in Birmingham in the same room every month. So it's important to us that we make time for days like today where we say, hey, bring your laptops, come and hack with us. Let's share our learnings. Let's share what's working and what's not working, because that's how we are all going to get better. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. I'm just gonna click. So at the beginning of these, oh, that was quite the lag there. At the beginning of these sessions, we always like to say, hey, what's new in AI coding this month? We're going to do a very abbreviated version. Usually we get to spend a little more time on this, but we want to get everybody coding. And so we're just going to quickly run through some of the highlights. We've missed some other things, but OpenAI came out with a new model, GPT 5.1. Has anybody been using this in ChatGPT? What do people think about it? Any feedback?
I love it.
Say again?
I love it.
You love it. Yeah. I don't have a dog in the fight. So has anybody used it for coding? Say it again? Yeah.
I think it's 30,000 tokens per minute. If you're going to get that's worth 500,000 So if they're
Yeah, yeah. So I'm assuming the limits are going to expand as they roll out more infrastructure around the model, but we'll wait and see. So has anybody used it for coding? How does it compare? Yep, that's what you're saying back there. So yeah, it's like I think more and more these moments are less of a moment. If that makes sense. And you know, it's the newest model out there. It's maybe a little bit better than the last model, but we still already have really good models. So it's just hard to compare in my mind. Any Cursor fans in here? Yep. Who has used Cursor 2.0, the latest version? Yeah. So Cursor 2.0 shipped a couple weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, and it is a full redesign of Cursor. Cursor used to look just like a Visual Studio Code fork, which is what it is. They forked Visual Studio Code. Now it still looks like that, but then they have this other mode that it tries to default to, which is their agent mode, which looks more like an app builder or a tool that is more designed to have a conversation with than to show you your code editor. This microphone doesn't like me today. And so they've really tried to say, hey, look, we want to be different than Visual Studio Code, with Copilot being more performant inside of it. And we want to find our own space in this development world. So they've gone hard into this agent mode, saying, hey, more and more of your work is going to be done with coding agents. So we want to show you a UI that gives you that view first. So you can always see the editor mode. But along with that rollout, they rolled out their first proprietary model, which is called Composer. And has any of you used the Composer model? What's like the thing with it? It's fast. It is blazingly fast. And so much so that it's like hard to have conversations with it because you have to scroll up 3 paragraphs to see the information that's above you. But it's also a lot of fun to vibe code with. So if you have a side project that you it's not going to get shipped to production or have a ton of enterprise data for you, just go have some fun with Composer. You can of course still use Composer with some of the more important projects as well. Thank you. I'll switch microphones in just a second. I'm just going to kill it for a second. A couple other quick ones. Do we have any Visual Studio users in the room, not VS Code? You can be proud with your Visual Studio usage. We know that there are some reasons to still be using Visual Studio. And one of the pains over the past year is that the Copilot extension has lagged so far behind what you can get inside of VS Code that our recommendations when companies come and ask us what to use is like, look, just try to get your developers to switch to VS Code if you really want to be able to use these tools. They are finally getting the extension up to parity inside of Visual Studio, so it's better for your Visual Studio developers. Copilot also released Agent HQ. Did anybody see this announcement? Does anybody really know what it means? No, it's one of those announcements that you look at it and it's just like you're going to be able to use all your models and all your agents wherever you are, and it like isn't quite clear yet exactly what this means and how companies are going to use it. They're just saying, hey, we are investing in agent coding and we want to make things easier for you to use, but I'm still waiting around for it to be clear of how this is going to be valuable to companies. Lastly, a point Tarun mentioned is that, is anybody here an actual AI engineer that actually is training models, neural networks on AI? Are they doing any AI ML work? We have one person in the room who does it. All right, we can skip this point. No, but in all seriousness, Google Colab is a tool that you can use in training models, and they've just come out with an extension inside of VS Code that makes it easier to train your AI models using resources that are available in the Google Cloud. So cool step forward there. Those are some updates this week. OpenRouter has a few stealth models that are out there now that are getting some publicity. You might not be able to see this, but a Sherlock-Alpha and Sherlock Think Alpha. If you don't know, what happens a lot of times is these massive AI labs get a model almost ready to release, and then they want more testing on it. They want more people to use it, to see how it's performing, to make any of those last adjustments before they really go live with it. So they often release stealth models out there that you can use in certain places. OpenRouter is a place where you can get access to models. And so this is where somebody has released some of these models to try out. Does anybody have an idea of who might be behind these models? If you did, you've really got some like insider baseball information. Tarun thinks it's Google. He thinks it's some of the latest Gemini models. Any reason why you think that?
I see a lot of posts on X saying people are trying out Gemini 3.0, and it's way better than anything they've done before.
Yeah.
And it's been a while since Google released the model.
Yeah. So some people have gotten early access to some of the latest Gemini models, and they're saying it's good, which is great. Like I would love for Google to be competing more in having a best model alongside OpenAI and Anthropic, and Grok's out there too. Maybe it's Grok. Did we miss any updates this month? Anybody have a big update? All right, let us know. We want to make sure we include it. But let's get to what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be working on some projects. If you have your laptop, we want you to be working on a project. We would love for you to be working on a project that's related to Birmingham AI. And so we have some suggestions up here I'm going to cover quickly, and then we're going to break, and we're going to get to work. And what we're going to do is, ideally, we can find a group or a few people who are interested in all of these areas. We can put you in a place in the room. You can get to work on it. We will have 30, 45 minutes to kind of hack at it, and then you can share with a group where you got in that time. While that's ongoing, I'm going to be sharing from my screen still, and I will be coding out maybe towards one of these projects as well, but just to share some of the different tools and some of the recent things we've covered in the last 4 months, kind of really putting it into practice. So here are the examples. If you have something else that you thought about while you were eating lunch, or you thought, man, this would be really fun to build out either for yourself or for Birmingham AI, we would love to let you work on that. Number one, a new website. The birminghamai.org website is getting stale, and it still doesn't seem to do a great job at solving the number one thing that people go to that website for. They go to that website asking, what are the meetings we have and when are they? And so like every week I talk to somebody and say, oh yeah, we had this engineering breakout. Or yeah, the main meetup is next Tuesday or next Wednesday. It's never been on a Tuesday. And they say, oh, I didn't know about that. Or like, I couldn't easily see that. Or I don't know what all the breakout groups you have are. And so we want a website that makes that easier to see. That is the first project. Like many of your day jobs, that's all the requirements you're going to get. So good luck. Impact stories. This has been a personal thing that I've thought about for a long time, and I've talked with Austin about. But we've heard from so many community members over the past 2 years how Birmingham AI has made some positive impact in their life. It's gotten them interested in a new hobby. It's helped them connect with somebody that led to a job for them. And we've not done a good job of being able to collect those stories and share those with other community members and help Birmingham AI grow its mission. So we would love to have a little website that just allows people to submit their Birmingham AI impact stories. And then we could also have a gallery of impact stories, and you could easily see people who've shared them either anonymously or that they're willing to put their name and photo on. It's just a very simple idea that could be a great thing to have at impact.birminghamai.org. So as we start to try to work with labs, AI labs in other cities, et cetera, having information like this can really help Birmingham AI really expand its reach. That's idea number 2. Idea number 3. Who came to the main meetup last week? Was it last week? Anybody at the main meetup last week? All right, we got a few people. Most of you then do not know that we are launching a community space on Circle.so. This is one of those like community sites that allows you to have a space and you can have an engineering breakout group. And so we're going to be posting our slides from each engineering breakout there. We'll be posting easy links to the code repositories that we create or that we share during the meetings. You can ask questions. We can have a vote in there every month of what's your favorite AI coding tool or what's your favorite model right now. You can do things like that. They have an API, and we're interested in seeing if there's some value in using that API to pull out information that could be helpful to us as a community. You know, like what are the posts about inside of the space? What are the questions people are asking, or who's active, or how many active people do we have? So this is going to start with some research that needs to be done on this API to see what's out there. But you know, with these AI coding tools, if you're able to look at the API documentation, you can mock out some data and get to work in this session right now on like showing, hey, here's what a one-page analytics website could look like for the Circle.so API. And then lastly, we've been running this for almost 2.5 years. Crazy. We've covered a lot of content. We have all those slides. We have a lot of notes. We have a lot of information. Could there be some value in being able to talk to all of that information? And you know, a simple question that could be asked of this data is, hey, has Birmingham AI talked about this before? Or is there anything interesting about that? So another pretty simple idea here that could just be interesting if the community had access to it. All right, so here's what we're going to do now. We'll see how well this works in a big room. We are going to look for people who are interested in these ideas and then just try to put people in the same area of the room. What would be the most, I think it's just the 3 of you who might be paying attention to me. So I can tailor anything I share to be helpful to you all. Is there anything specifically that you would be interested in hearing or seeing?
Like an analytics page.
Okay.
Anybody have anything?
Yeah, that's what we're.
Was that what you're thinking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort
Sort of like which breakout is winning.
Okay, you need to work on work.
Participation or something like measuring.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Like measuring.
Yeah.
Participation, like who's got
Cool.
posts,
Yeah.
whatever.
No, that's good.
Or even theme of what the posts are about.
Okay. Yeah.
Something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I think what I'll probably do then is just like show off a variety of the tools I've used recently and how they compare and how they're different and then what they allow you to do.
Okay. I have it on my phone.
Is that good? Yeah. And then we can talk through that. I might like
So this
yell
is
at the
Circle.
broader group if anybody's
The app.
interested. So. All right, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Okay.
Talking
So
through the
we
mic
wanna
to this table. Okay, I'm
That's
going to
one
use the like
one
impact project as just an example to get started here, and then I'll show off a couple tools with it. So yeah, give me 1 second, and then we'll get going with it.
Sorry. Yeah. Create 3 or 4 spaces, and then in each of the space, mock up some posts with likes and comments, and then you can use it as data for whatever you're trying to build.
All right,
Does it make sense?
actually.
Yeah, so we, I guess we want to build some sort of front-end site, and we're just going to mock out data. But Okay.
Awesome. I'll be right here if you need anything. We haven't released that
I
yet.
always forget this. Okay. Does anybody have any Rails experience?
Yeah, we're slowly
Ruby on
testing
Rails
with
experience?
some people, and
All right.
then
I didn't think so. I'm creating a new application, and I'm using Rails because it will just let me go very fast. So I've now created an application here that we can see that there's no database for. Switch
awesome.
right instance. Rails DB setup.
Yeah. If you go to birminghamai.org and then go to events,
Okay.
you'll see a list
I've
of
just created
events.
an empty
So
web
those are all the
application
categories
using
we
Ruby
have.
on Rails, and now we can actually start some fun things
Don't
here.
click on downward. It's
So
something
there's a
here.
number of CLI tools I have, and the one I use the most
If you
right
click one
now
of them,
is
it will
Claude
take you to
Code.
Eventbrite.
And
Eventbrite has
so here I am. I've
Yeah.
got a Claude Max plan.
Fast
I can just
events.
use this here. Oftentimes, I just stick on Opus because
yes.
I started
Like
using it
HR people
before
is
the
one category,
latest
software
like
engineering,
4.5 model came out. But they definitely
is starting,
recommend that
not
you
yet.
use the Sonnet model.
Biotech is one
You will
that's
eat through
about to
your
start.
tokens much faster
reveal
if
yet.
you're on the Opus model. But that's just something to think about. I also use plan mode inside of Claude Code and then leave thinking on when I'm
Then
planning
we
out
have
work.
different sponsors.
Both of
for
these
each
will help you like make sure you start off on the right path. But right now, I actually just want to create some context that will be helpful for the application. So I'm going to say init, and then I'm going to give it some context. Init's going to create a Claude.md file, which will provide context to the AI about my application.
GitHub
So I
and
can
then
say
search
this
Birmingham AI.
is, let me see
It's
if I can
open.
just use, this is a Ruby on Rails 8 application. I want you to use Rails commands like Rails generate rather than creating files from scratch.
And then
I want you to use mini test for testing, and I want you to use Rails best practices and conventions.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay, so I just used
Is it not open yet?
a tool called Whisper Flow to just talk to the computer, and I gave it some more information. And now what this will do is this will create a Claude.md file, which will make it easier for Claude to know what my project is and what I'm trying to do. I gave it a couple things. I told it about the framework. The second thing I said was, I want you to use Rails commands like Rails generate rather than creating files from scratch. This is something I see that people who are using the tools miss sometimes is if your language or framework has commands or scripts that the AI tool can use, it should use those rather than create files from scratch. And so I'll show you an example of that in just a second. But sometimes the AI will just move towards creating files from scratch instead of using the helper methods that it already has. So that's like a little pro tip, if you will. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if it lets me from the phone.
Do I? Yeah, we do. Yes. 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 Yeah. It's standard for the like Rails projects that we have, but then it's different for like a a React project, and so it's unique to the framework and stack that we're using. But a lot of the principles are the same throughout it. Exactly, the principles are always the same. So as much as you can talk about principles instead of specifics, then that helps you not have to change things or customize it for every stack. But the reality is, so my day job is working with companies and helping their developers use AI coding tools. And one of the first questions we always get is like, how can we have one Claude.md for the entire company? And the reality is like, you can't. You can, and you can put a little bit of information in there, but to get the best output from the AI tools, it just needs to get specific to your code base. It's just impossible to avoid that. And so like that is just the reality of the system. Context is just that important. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's what the don't look at secrets. Shouldn't have to tell her that. So I ran the /init method. Are you familiar with that in Claude Code? So it will look at your whole code base and then generate a Claude.md file after it's read a bunch of files. And so it will do that for you. The problem with this is that I'm starting from scratch. And so it doesn't have any information besides just being a blank Ruby on Rails application. So as you're like working on your day job or new projects, the challenge that you have is different. If you're working with a aging code base that's been around for a while, then there's a lot of information that's hidden inside of that code base. There's complexity, there's the data model relationships, and so you really need to do a lot of work to make sure you're providing that context to the AI. On the other hand, if you're starting from scratch or you're in a more like a newer development project, it's easier for the AI to see the context about what matters, but then it will make its own decisions about the patterns that it's going to use inside your application. And so AI can lead to a messy code base on a newer project because it doesn't have as well-defined guardrails that it's already exists inside the code base to operate within. So for newer projects, you need to do a better job of defining, this is what I want to use, these are the patterns, etc. So like I told it what testing framework to use, and that's a good example of that. I know what testing framework I want it to use, so I'm going to tell it to do that. So right now we just have a blank application. I want to just create an index view. What do I want to do first? Okay. We have this concept of like these impact stories, right? That's the project that I'm going to show an example for right now. Is we have this example of an impact stories, which is a website people could come and they can share their impact stories, how Birmingham AI has impacted their lives. They can then see a listing of what other people have shared as well. So I'm going to have Rails do that for me. And I'm going to say use scaffolding, create impact stories.
If we have the logos.
And then let me use my mic again because it goes much faster. What do I want to say here? Let me think for a second. It's always good to think before you start rambling to AI. These are stories that our Birmingham AI community members will share about how Birmingham AI has impacted their life and their companies. They need to be able to create these, view an index of these, and click in to see details as well. So I've given it some more information, but something that I always like to highlight here is that AI really augments your ability. And so you need to know some things or learn along the ways. And I've told it to use scaffolding here. That's a Rails specific term that I'm saying because Rails has a scaffolding command that will generate a lot of different things for me. And so that's what it's using here now. It wants to run the command generate scaffold, and then it's given it information. It's going to be an impact story, and then this lets me define the data model that is the impact story. So author name string, author title string, company name, all these different things, right? And so a couple points here. One, the fact that I knew that was really helpful because I could tell AI to do it for me. And now it's not, AI's not going to go and create all those files individually, which could potentially lead to more mess ups. It's using the built-in helper method that will make sure everything happens well. But two, it's just decided what all these input fields are. And now it's kind of put me in a bad position. I just either have to accept this and then like edit it later, or I can stop it and try to iterate with it. I should have used plan mode. So that's actually what we're going to do. I'm going to kill this, and I'm going to switch over to plan mode. And now I'm going to say use plan mode. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just go up to get this last command, and now I'm in plan mode. And so just because I hit Shift Tab and turn it on to plan mode, it should change up the way it's working, and now use plan mode instead of actually implementing out the work. So plan mode's built into this. It's now built into Cursor as well. I'll show that in a second. It's coming to GitHub Copilot as well. So plan mode is pretty much going to be in every single tool. And developers just do not use plan mode enough. For whatever reason, they go straight to it and they say, hey, just get to work. And then they're frustrated when the results don't end up well. And so you always want to plan with the AI if you can. And Claude Code's really good at it now. So we'll probably see here in a second how it's good. We'll give it a second to explore the code base first. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, the big difference is like the orchestration level that happens outside of the model itself. And so what I mean by that is like the exact way that the he's trying to pick up your questions. You're recorded now. Like Claude Anthropic has built this plan mode configuration process. And so Cursor now has built their own configuration process for plan mode and the orchestration behind it. That is what's really different about this. We don't see the full prompt that gets passed to the 4.5 system in any of the tools, but they're different. And they're different in how they pull context in. They're different in how they say things about planning. And so that leads to different outcomes in each one. But this is the plan mode. So now I can see it's telling me what these items are. I did this a little bit weird. Oftentimes it will ask you questions now and have you confirm it. So it's even easier to work with. But I can decide if I'm happy with this. It's going to migrate it. So I can just make sure that this is good before it starts. I want to move a little bit faster here. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's do it. Let's just go ahead and get started. And so now it's going to get started there. While we're doing this, I'm going to let this cook for a minute. I'm going to hop over and I'm going to show you a couple other pieces. I have 3 other AI coding agents available here. We've got Codex. Let's see if I can remember them all. We've got Copilot. And then we have Cursor. What's the CLI command? Is it not just Cursor? Oh. There we go. Oh, I'm not signed in anymore. Let me get signed in. Try not to leak any secrets while we're here. I'm almost there. All right, come on. There we go. Okay. So this is still working. We're going to say yes, and I'm okay for you to run generate commands here. So now it's created the model. It's run the full scaffold, which has done a lot of things. I should have. Let me do this. Its status. Oh my goodness. All right. All right, so it is, it's created the models, it's created the initial views, and now it's gonna start walking through the rest of these items here and clean this up. While that's happening, I'm just gonna show a few other things in here. OpenAI has Codex now, so this is Codex's CLI tool. It also has its own init function. It uses the agents.md file, which is more of a standard across tools. So everybody's kind of pissed at Claude right now because they won't switch from Claude MD to agents.md, which would make life easier for developers everywhere. They want to have their own one. You still have a bunch of different like slash commands you can use in here. Generally speaking, the tool is relatively the same as Claude Code, but Claude has gone further in building in agents and some other different pieces that make it easier to provide context and commands for different areas. And OpenAI's Codex just lags behind a little bit. So what do I mean there? Well, inside of Claude, you can define skills and subagents and slash commands that you can more easily use while you're inside of Claude Code. All of these other tools are a little bit further behind. So this is the GitHub Copilot CLI. It has a lot of the similar tools. It doesn't have an easy way to generate that initial context file for you. You just have to tell it to create that context file, but you can still do things inside of these tools. So let's run a little bit experiment here. I'm gonna ask each one of these to say, tell me what the impact stories model is. And so we'll copy that. I'll fire it away in Codex, I'll fire it away in Copilot, and I'll fire it away in Cursor Agent. And then we can take a quick look at how these tools work. So they all look relatively similar. Here we have Codex that is exploring the model, it's deciding what it wants to read about, and then it is providing an output. Copilot over here is asking to run more fine commands that probably aren't necessary, but it's doing the same thing. It's trying to find the relevant files. And then Cursor CLI very quickly read and searched a number of files and produced the output. So you get a pretty similar experience in all of these tools. A question that you might have is like, why would you use a CLI tool over an IDE or an editor? And there's only like a couple good answers. One is just purely a preference thing. Developers like to operate inside of a CLI, and it can be sometimes easier to see things like this in a CLI format as opposed to a full IDE that makes it a little bit harder to see. We'll take a look at what an IDE looks like in just a second. But the other answer is that it just gives you more immediate access to the command line. So you could still have access inside an IDE, of course, but you're just right there inside of the command line. In most of these tools, let's see if this works here. Doesn't work here. In most of these tools, you can do things like run bash commands while you're still inside of the mode, and I can see what my list looks like. Same thing happens here. So Codex is the only one that doesn't support that. There might be another shortcut, but it just gets you closer to the metal or to the terminal, and it makes it easier to do things like that. Makes it easier to quickly run something like a /mcp command and see the different things that might be connected inside of your application. Purely a preference thing, but ever since I got used to it, I haven't been able to leave it. So where are we right now? Let's see. If I refresh the page, Claude Code's been working. We've got a Birmingham AI Impact Stories. We have a Share Your Stories. We have what looks to be like an impact listing here, but we just don't have any stories. it looks like all of the functional work is done. So let's see if we can actually share a story here. Let's do this. I've asked all of these tools to know what a story is. So just say, give me an example story I can use to test the site. I'm in the Cursor CLI tool right now. It's generating that. Here we go. We have a story now. So we will add this in. Whoopsies. There we go. That looks horrible, but it is what it is. Career growth. And this was Sarah Johnson, a senior software engineer at Tech Corp. And then we'll do both of these. I have no idea what that means. So now there we go. So we've got a working model that stores this. It's styled in Tailwinds. And that happened in like 8 minutes while we were talking, which is pretty neat. Now we can see this like featured story here on the homepage. So very neat. This is still adding in some tests. It's running the test for us. The test has failed, or one of the tests has failed, so we'll see if it's able to fix it. But like an interesting thing here though is like every bit of the process we just had automated, it worked because this was a brand new application with a pretty simple ask. When you're dealing with more complex code, a lot of people would complain and say like, this wouldn't work for that. And you're right, it wouldn't work in this way. And so what you need to do is you need to start breaking it up, either breaking the process up or breaking the work size and getting to smaller chunks of work. And then you'll get to workable processes. And so that's just like what I would recommend as you start to deal with your company, is just get very clear about all the different areas. Like testing could be completely separate. It shouldn't necessarily just be a checklist item here. This thing's been working for 12 minutes actually, so it's definitely been grinding some tokens out.
Yeah.
But it's impressive that it's still able to do this. Yeah.
So I got a question, Will.
Yeah.
Like there are times, as you mentioned, when there is a complex code and
Yeah.
it's not fully broken down. I'm here messing around with, let's say, GitHub Copilot Sonnet 4.5, and eventually I'll exceed the limits of
Yeah.
my account. Then I'll switch to Cursor.
Yep.
How can I move that context? Because I've been really working with GitHub Copilot. It understands the context.
Yeah.
But now with Claude,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have to, or Cursor AI, I'll have to start over again.
Do you have in Copilot, there are Copilot instructions and Copilot prompts? Do you have that context saved into those files?
So I do have some instructions on how the project is organized, is structured.
Yeah.
But not like, it doesn't really understand the computation. But when I start with Cursor, it will start reading the code again and it'll start from the scratch.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, try to bring that knowledge to that state.
Can you tell it to put it in a file? Can you tell Copilot to put
Yeah.
the instructions on a file so that then you can?
Yeah, I have not tried that. Like,
I would ask the AI to do
generate the
that.
whole, yeah.
I'm gonna take a picture real quick.
I think that's what you were saying. That you can.
Okay.
For moving.
Awesome.
Just taking
Yeah.
put all the instructions.
That's what I would do. And so, like, in fact, let's show an example right here, since we have 4 CLI agents up here. We could say, like, I already have context for Claude code in Claude. I need this in agents.md. And this is a really simple one because it's just going from one file to another file. So we could have just copied it and renamed it. But like we do this with companies that have 15 individual Copilot instruction files that are all for different things, and then you can have it build it up into what it needs to be for that other coding tool, and you can just tell it. But you want to get to the place where it's easy to hop tools. More importantly, because like you're not going to be hopping tools that much, it's easy to like start new conversations. And so you're okay to like kill a conversation and start a new conversation and not be like, oh shoot, I'm going to lose all that context.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way you do that is through good context files.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Time has flown. It's 55 after. Some of you probably have like a real job to get back to. Probably. Let's spend the last 5 minutes, and we're just going to go around the tables and real quick say, what problem were you addressing? How far did you get? And do you want to continue working on it? Okay? So we're going to start over here, and I'll yell out the okay, website group. Patrick.
Work in progress.
Work in progress.
Pull the existing repo and put it in cloud code and updating the event categories to finance, marketing,
Yeah.
engineering, and getting that to pull from Eventbrite. So currently we're going to run locally, and then we'll publish it back.
Nice. I love it. So it sounds like we could have something there. I know where you work. I'll come find you. All right, what about this table back here?
We worked on a chatbot.
Nice.
That would read a folder to pull out information to answer questions.
Let's go.
And my code never compiled. His code got stuck, and his code compiles but doesn't work.
Love it. We hit all 3 failure cases. That's impressive. Yeah, what tool were you using?
We were using VS Code with each one of us were using slightly different versions of Claude.
Yeah.
But we also allowed it different languages that it would write in. So C# wouldn't compile. Python couldn't finish writing the code, and Next.js compiles but doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, like, everybody in this room, if you've used AI coding at all, you've had that experience. Is that fair to say? I think as you continue your journey with AI coding, one of the personal metrics you should be thinking about is, am I beating my head into the AI wall less than I was before? And the more you can improve your prompting and then catch when AI is going down a rabbit hole that's going to end badly, the better your experience will be with AI coding tools. But we've all been there. Thanks for sharing. All right, this table here.
Hang on. We have who's the leader?
We're working on the impact stories. We got a GitHub repository shared out, started working on separate branches. I just got Claude Code to spit out a whole bunch of tokens worth of code, and now I'm waiting to see if I can get a local server running to see what it looks like.
Nice. Love it. Yeah, one thing with AI is that it doesn't solve the human coordination problem of how can 4 of us work off this repo at the same time. So that's something to think about. Something we think about is how can you better split up work that's not going to touch each other and then let each individual person run further. So that's something to think about. Yeah, this group, you can put the mic there and I'll share what we did. But we worked on the impact project as well, while we also tried out 4 different CLI tools. So if you've never seen it, here is Cursor CLI tool. Here is GitHub Copilot CLI tool. Here is OpenAI's Codex CLI tool. And of course, Claude Code over here. We got to this little impact story web page as well that just allows you to share your story, and it shows featured stories here that you can click on and see the different categories that they are in. We got this far because we use the beautiful Ruby on Rails framework, which is the best framework. Come fight me if you want to fight. Any other takeaways real quick from this group here?
All I would say is when Will says we, it was him.
It was all of us.
It was a very informative. Thanks for sharing all the tips.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, this table back here.
We kind of worked independently for a little bit, but we started down the path of the headless API, but it sounds like what Birmingham AI was really looking for was the data API, where you can build an analytics page. So found that out about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Switching gears.
Nice.
And then we have a repo on GitHub, but you want to talk about your work?
Because we didn't have credentials for Caldi.
Right.
since we didn't have credentials to call the Circle.so headless API, I had Cloud Code generate a replica of it
Let's
that can
go.
be used for development, giving realistic data back until such time as it's purchased.
Yeah. I would expect nothing less from an AI wizard like Darren. So great work there. And like so many companies we run into will be like, oh, this should be well defined, but the documentation doesn't match or the data doesn't match. Just use AI to solve that problem. Use AI to build the documentation or use AI to mock the data. We got a couple more tables real quick. I know we're over time. If you have to sneak out, go for it.
So for us, we haven't coded anything yet. We made an outline using LangFlow, and it does work given we pulled from the website first because we don't have access to the data set yet. So we're modifying it to pull from the example PowerPoints. But we have a chatbot just like their group, and it does work, but we have to fine tune it just a little bit more so that it's more accurate.
Let's go.
So
I love
we are
that.
pulling data from all the PPTs from the previous sessions.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're actually building a data set out of it.
Awesome. How can we continue from here with that project?
From here, now's the hard part where we actually have to code it instead of using our little LangFlow frame. But that's how we would continue.
Cool.
It's just using that frame line.
Great job. All right. One more RAG table. Big table here. Who's got it?
Cool. All right. We kind of tried to divide and conquer with the problem. So our first issue was the Birmingham AI RAG problem. So have we ever talked about this? What has Birmingham AI ever said about Claude Code or something like that, right? So, our first challenge was just getting the slides, right? Just going and finding the slides from multiple meetings and getting those pulled down into a form that we could actually do something with. So while that table was working on doing the vectorization, we were working on just bringing the PDF of the presentation down, getting OLAMA and a model in OLAMA to summarize the points on each page.
Nice.
And take each point individually so that you could vectorize those points individually and search them individually, right? That's the goal. And so then brought them over to this table. They ran them through, created the embeddings for each one of those points. And I think maybe just finished. The CLI. So now you can put in some text and it'll bring up relevant points. So the prompt needs to be a lot better to do the summarization.
Sure.
There should be a little more better metadata. I'm sure Tarun might have a couple of suggestions for us since this is probably more his expertise, but we're on our way. We got something.
Awesome. Great work. Let's give a round of applause for all the tables here. Could anybody have done that like 3 years ago before these AI coding tools? No. That's awesome. All right. Thank you for coming today and participating in it. We've got a feedback slide up here that we want you to scan before you leave. Give us feedback. Particularly, I am interested to know if you enjoyed this format. Was this fun? Do you want to do another? Do we want to do one of these a quarter? Or do we like when somebody just gets up and shares more? Let us know. Let us know how we can make this better. Thank you for coming. When we open up our community, we will see you in there. And then if you weren't at our meetup, we announced our kickoff event, which is happening January 14th. This is Birmingham AI as a whole. It's going to be Wednesday, January 14th from 4:30 to 8 at the Red Mountain Theater. How many tickets have we sold, William?
As of Friday, it was 120.
Yeah. So we sold like 120 out of like 400 tickets. So that's a good 6-day start. Yeah. So we'd love to see you there. What are they, 30 bucks?
30 bucks. There's food, drinks, AI experiences.
It's going to be fun. Thank you, William. All right. If you were one of the project leads, run into Tarun on the way out, and he's going to write your name down so we can talk to you about the repo. If you want to get into our GitHub account, etc., then we'll be able to continue on from here. We want to see your vibe coded code. Thank you.